Yo, how's it going everybody? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be talking about Primordeal Jade-Wing-Spear on Shenhe, and basically if it's going to be viable, I'm basically going to be talking about each of the little quirks and actually how to use this weapon on Shenhe, basically covering like maintaining stacks on this, and also generally what to build on your Shenhe if you are using this weapon. But if you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress. This is going to be the first in a weapon series where I'm going to be talking about each of these weapons more specifically, basically covering Jade-Spear first, which is this video, and then we're also going to be talking about Engulfing Lightning, and Staff of Homa and Vortex Vanquisher, and actually how to utilize those with Shenhe before she actually releases. So the first thing of note about Primordeal Jade-Wing-Spear is that its base attack is a solid 674, and so what that means is that it's going to be able to factor in very nicely with Shenhe's overall kit, because Shenhe does scale really nicely with attack percent on her Ascension, but then she also benefits from attack percent if you are running her as a support for cryo characters, because basically going to be translated into her icy quill damage, and so running a bunch of attack percent is going to be very beneficial, especially because this weapon has a high base attack. What this weapon brings to the table is going to be its crit rate Ascension, which is actually extremely important for several reasons. First reason being that you're not necessarily going to be running a 4-piece cryo set on your Shenhe, and so she's going to be suffering in the crit rate department, especially if you are running like a 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Shimenawa. That's basically going to be all focusing in on getting as much attack percent as possible versus crit rate. And so the crit rate on this is actually going to be very nice, basically balancing out your overall build. Okay, and so there are two different builds that you can go with if you are building with Primordeal Jade-Wing-Spear, of which being an attack percent hat, an attack percent timepiece, and attack percent goblet, and that's going to basically get you the most attack percent that you could possibly get with this weapon. But the other build is going to be if you are going to be using Shenhe as more so of a sub DPS or damage dealer, and that is going to be a crit damage hat thanks to, and you're going to run a attack percent timepiece and a cryo damage goblet. That's basically if you are going for damage. Next thing I want to talk about is actually going to be how Primordeal Jade-Wing-Spear's passive is actually going to work with Shenhe, and if it's actually going to be good, and how to utilize this for Shenhe if you are using her as a main DPS or a sub DPS. On hit, it increases your attack percent by 3.2% for 6 seconds up to a maximum of 7 stacks. This effect can only occur once every 0.3 seconds, so pretty much if you are doing normal attacks is the fastest way to stack this up, but it can also stack up using your elemental skill or elemental burst damage, and since Shenhe's elemental burst does do 2 ticks every time it hits, it's basically going to give you these stacks. These ticks of damage are slightly offset, which they appear to be, at least from the gameplay I've seen so far. Then once you get the maximum stacks of this, you're going to be getting 12% more increased damage, which is actually going to be a pretty good thing. Overall, this weapon is going to be very, very easy to actually stack up. It's actually going to be a little bit easier, and I think it's going to have a little bit better of a gameplay loop for Shenhe versus the Vortex Vanquisher, which basically does have the benefit of having a large amount of attack. But its major downside is that you actually have to score hits on opponents, and I think this is actually using like your auto attacks or something versus like actual sub DPS capabilities. But yeah, overall I think this is going to be pretty good for passive stack gains if you are using your burst for passive stack gains, or you can use a few auto attacks to stack this up or very fast if you wanted to. Basically it for this video. Let me know if I missed anything in the comment section below, and even more specific question that you have, feel free to leave a comment. I will respond to as many as I can. It's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys in the next one. Farewell.